All right, so it was recommended to make this video. I'm making this video for a friend of mine, but I'll probably upload it so everyone can see it. This giant disaster we have going on here is me upgrading this speaker bar, which I built about 10 years ago. A friend of mine wanted to see how I did it. I never actually finished it. I just put it together and it sounded fine. So I actually put it in the living room like that without even the black painting on the front. It was just like that with the lid over there. And now I've made this new cover for it. But in the meantime, I decided to take it apart and go ahead and finish the build. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I did. Uh, it's pretty simple to build your own high quality speaker bar. Um, Unless, if you're a double mass, triple clot shot idiot, then you probably probably spend all day looking at phones and never knowing what to do with anything. But if you are a normal person with average IQ, you should be able to accomplish this. It's very simple, in my opinion. Really, all it is it's just a box. I made a box with a few cavities. There's a cavity for a subwoofer, cavity for the guts, cavity for another subwoofer. And then as you can see here, this is actually closed off. That is a cavity, which is for the 4-inch Polk Audio coaxial speakers in the front that do the mid-range and tweet duty. And I have some old school Kicker CVR 8-inch subwoofers. I actually have 3 of them. There's the other one over there. All of these speakers, by the way, are about 20 years old. Bought them at Fry's Electronics for nothing way back in the day. Used them in my car for years and years and years. And now I'm put them in here. So what we've got is the only things you need to make this work is I have a Hyphonics Zeus. This is just a regular car amplifier. This is overkill for what I'm doing, but it is a 600.4, so this is rated for 150 watts per channel at 2 ohms of impedance, 2 ohm load. So, not impedance, it's load. And then we have a computer power supply. This is just a regular computer power supply. There's nothing special about it. It was given to me by a friend because I built him a new gaming computer, and in that process I confiscated his old power supply and sold the rest. So just a couple of real quick notes. If you've never installed an amplifier, there are probably a bazillion videos on what all of these connections here mean. You've got your ground, remote, your positive, and all your speaker connections. Then on the other side, you have your crossover points and everything. The only thing that you really need to know is how to make this work with this. And here is the trick. All of these power supplies have output leads that are 3 volts, 5 volts, and 12 volts. Some are 3, some are 5, some are 12. It's very easy to determine which ones you need because the 12 volt leads are all yellow. As you can see here, I've taken all of the yellow leads and grouped them together into a single lead, and I'm feeding that to my 12 volt input. All of the black leads, those are your ground. They've all been brought together and put into here. These extra stuff right here, these are 3 volt, 5 volt, and some ground leads. I just decided to keep these in case I repurpose this later down the road for something else. Maybe I'll add some 5 volt LED lighting to it or something like that, and this would come in handy for that purpose. So I just, grouped them together, and then I cut them at an angle so they're all different lengths, and then I taped them up to get them out of the way. This you don't need. I have no idea what this is. This is either a switch, or it might be for an LED, or it could be like an ACPI power management sensor or something. I don't know what it is, but I left it on there. So this is just extra shit. You don't need those. In fact, if you wanted to, you could cut them off. You could be real fancy and take the unit apart and remove all of these superfluous leads if you wanted to. But anyways, that's how it works. And then I've just used a jumper to get from my 12 volt to the remote signal. This is the thing that turns the amp on and on. So technically, this is supposed to be a switch, really. So the amplifier is always on, but the way that I actually manage it is I have a current sensing power strip. So when the television turns on, this unit turns on automatically. And when the television turns off, this unit plus the DVD player and stuff like that, whatever, is all turns off. All right. So let's talk about the changes that I'm making. As you can see, this is how it's all connected. You got the wires going to the speakers, and then we have this here. This is a dual voice coil sub. It's got two 4-ohm coils, so I was feeding a 2-ohm load to each channel. And originally, the reason why I'm taking this apart is because this sub was rattling. It was it had worked itself loose. I just screwed it in with some drywall screws I had laying around. I really should put some nuts and bolts through there to give it a good tight fit. But I decided to be lazy, and instead I used some silicone to glue it into place. It's not going anywhere. So that was rattling, and the reason why it was rattling was because I was hitting, originally it was rattling just a little bit. But I had my gain turned down because as I realized, or technically I didn't have enough polyfill in here. So for those of you that don't know, this white shit that comes out of a pillow, if you put enough of it into an enclosure, it has the effect of making that enclosure behave as if it was larger than it actually is. So this enclosure's dimensions are, I think, 10.5, 22 by 5 or 5.5 or something like that. So this enclosure's internal volume is actually 0.6 cubic feet of internal volume. This subwoofer wants a minimum of 0.8 in order to perform effectively. So I didn't have enough polyfill. This is called polyfill, or you can call it fill or cotton or whatever it is. I've seen people even put old clothes, shredded up clothes, into their like old socks and stuff. Shred them up, throw them in there. That works too, but you need a lot of old clothes. So grab some old pillows, gut them, put them in here. Now, there's a way that you determine how much you should put in there. It's very, very simple. You take the internal volume of the enclosure and you you multiply that by 1.5, and that is your weight of polyfill. Okay? That is your weight of polyfill. So I took 0.6 and I multiplied it by 1.5, and I got right at 1. It was like 0.98 or 0.99 or something. I got right at 1. So I measured out 1 pound of polyfill and put it in there. Now, originally I didn't have enough polyfill. I just had what I had laying around, and it was only about half a pound. So this sub had too much excursion, meaning it was moving too much because there was no back pressure in here. There wasn't enough back pressure in here, I should say, because I didn't have enough polyfill. So when my wife and I bought new pillows from mypillow.com, very comfortable pillows, I might add. There's nothing really fantastic about them. They're shredded memory foam in a pillow, but they're very good pillows, and we got them on sale. I think they were $15 a piece or something like that, 15 or 20 bucks a piece. So we bought pillows for everybody. Got new high quality pillows. They came with sheets. It was a good deal. So anyway, our old pillows I repurposed to get the extra polyfill. So now we're going to have a pound of polyfill in here. So I already put it in, and I got the speaker bar up, and it outputs so much more now. I have the amp. I can turn the amp gain all the way up. These subs are rated to handle 200 watts RMS, and this thing only will put out 150 watts RMS at 2 ohms. So I had the power turned down before. So now with a pound of polyfill in here, remember, internal volume, 0.6 cubic feet, multiply it by 1.5, 1.5. And that number is how many pounds of polyfill you need to add, okay? So I added 1 pound of polyfill, and it hits so much harder now. It does not slap. There's no hitting of the max excursion or anything like that. There's no rattling. The silicone took care of all that problem, and it was good. Now, that created for me a new problem, which is originally this power supply had cut this hole to be perfectly fit, perfectly snug, or just about perfectly snug. And so it wouldn't move, right? And it still, now it kind of moves a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got a little bit of play, just a tiny bit of play. So I screwed it in. There's no way you're going to be able to see that in there. I don't know. There's a screw down in there. Then there's another one over here that you can't see, but I screwed it down in there, took the cover off, screwed it down, put the cover back on, and then I sort of turned it into place. But anyways, doesn't matter. Now I have taken this out. I cut open the hole a little bit bigger and added some foam insulation around the edge. It's like maybe a weather stripping or something to give it a little bit of play. And the only reason I had to do that was because with the pound of polyfill in here and turning up the power on the amplifier, it was hitting so much harder that even this was starting to rattle at that point, ever so slightly. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. So we took that out. Now it's not going to make any noise. And another thing I'm going to be doing, which as you see here, I have 2 wires come in. So these are my RCA signal wires, which go to a Bluetooth receiver there. It's got Bluetooth and optical. So I use optical for the TV and then Bluetooth if I just want to listen to music. It's Bluetooth 5.0 or whatever it is, but I got that for $10 on Fleabay. Works great. I should mount it on the box somewhere, but I don't give a shit. So anyway, where am I? All right, so RCA wires, those feed the signal coming in from that unit. And then this is an extra wire. Well, what is that? That is going to be for an external sub. I have another Kicker Comp. This is a Kicker Comp 12-inch sub that used to be in one of the trucks. And I'm going to build a new enclosure for that. That's going to be in here temporarily like that, but probably in the next week or so, I'm going to build a triangular shaped enclosure, which is going to sit behind that tree that we have in here. That tree is set up on a timer, so the lights come on at night. That's sort of our nightlight tree is what it is. That's going to feed that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed a 4 ohm load into one channel, which is not ideal. This really wants to see a 2 ohm load, but I'm going to feed a 4 ohm load for the 8s and then a 2 ohm load for the 12. The 12 is going to cover all of the low end. The 8s will cover everything else. Frequency response on the 8s it goes a little bit higher and doesn't go quite as low. So I'm thinking that even with the crossover set at about the same, I'm going to have the crossover point set at about 100 hertz, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 120, and then it's going to cross over. I don't know what I've got it set at, but anyway,